I think my marriage ended the night she laughed at me. Throwaway because some of our friends use Reddit. I'm 34M. My wife is 32F. We've been married for 6 years, together for almost 9. For most of that time, I genuinely thought we were solid. Not perfect, she's always been sharp-tongued, brutally honest in a way that sometimes just felt brutal, but I told myself that was just her personality. She'd snap, then apologize later. Or she wouldn't apologize, but she'd act normal again and I'd let it go. Looking back, I ignored a lot. The first real crack started about 8 months ago. She began coming home later. Work ran long. Traffic was insane. You're being paranoid. That last one became her favorite line. She started guarding her phone like it contained nuclear codes. Screen flipped down. Face ID only. Bathroom trips that lasted 20 minutes. If I walked into the room, conversations would abruptly end. When I asked who she was texting, she'd roll her eyes and say, "God, do you need a full report every time I breathe?" And here's the thing, she said it with this laugh. Not playful. Not reassuring. More like I was stupid for even asking. I kept telling myself I was overthinking. We'd been through rough patches before. Stress. Bills. Family drama. She's always had a temper. She's always had a bit of a mean streak. But she was my wife. Then one night, about 2 months ago, she looked me straight in the face and told me I was too sensitive for noticing that she barely touched me anymore. That was the first time I felt something shift inside me. I didn't know it yet, but that was the beginning of everything unraveling. So after that, "You're too sensitive," comment, I tried to back off. I didn't want to be that husband, the insecure, jealous guy who invents problems. But once you start noticing things, you can't unsee them. She suddenly had a new, work friend, named Daniel. I only heard about him in passing at first. "Daniel thinks the boss is an idiot. Daniel's covering my shift tomorrow. Daniel says the new client is a nightmare." It was always casual. Always tossed in like it meant nothing. The first lie I caught wasn't even dramatic. She told me she was staying late on a Thursday because of a last-minute meeting. I ordered takeout and figured I'd surprise her at the office, drop off her favorite pad thai. Her car wasn't there. I texted her, "Hey, thought I'd bring you dinner. Are you still at work?" She replied 15 minutes later, "Yeah, just finishing up." Why? I was standing in an empty parking lot staring at a dark building. My stomach dropped. When she got home 2 hours later, I asked her calmly why her car wasn't at the office. She didn't even hesitate. I parked down the street. Construction. There was no construction. I'd driven around the entire block. When I pointed that out, she got sharp instantly. "You seriously drove around looking for my car? That's creepy." "I was trying to bring you food," I said. "Well, next time don't. I don't need to be monitored." That word. Monitored. Like I was some kind of control freak instead of a husband who noticed his wife wasn't where she said she was. And here's the messed up part, she made me apologize. I apologized for overreacting. That's when the gaslighting really started ramping up. She'd contradict herself about little details. She'd say she told me things she never did. She'd accuse me of having a bad memory. She'd swear on our marriage that nothing was going on. But the vibe was different. Cold. Detached. Irritated that I even existed in her space. Then one night, out of nowhere, she changed her phone password. That's when I stopped feeling paranoid, and started feeling scared. About 3 weeks after the parking lot incident, things escalated fast. She started going to the gym at 9:30 p.m. Let me repeat that. 9:30, at night. After working all day. After barely speaking to me. She bought new workout clothes. Lacy sports bras. Matching sets. Stuff she never cared about before. She'd do her hair before the gym. A little mascara. Lip gloss. I asked why and she snapped, "Am I not allowed to look good?" I felt crazy even thinking it, but my gut was screaming. Then came the night that shattered everything. She forgot her Apple Watch on the kitchen counter. She was in the shower. Her phone was locked, of course. But the watch lit up with a notification while I was cleaning dishes. A text preview. From Daniel. I can still taste you. My brain didn't process it at first. I actually thought I misread it. I wiped my hands, leaned closer, and there it was again when another message came through. Tonight was insane. My entire body went cold. Not hot anger. Not rage. Just this hollow, vacuum feeling in my chest. She stepped out of the shower humming. Humming. Like nothing in the world was wrong. I stood there holding her watch when she walked into the kitchen in a towel. Her face changed instantly. Not guilt. Not shame. Annoyance. Why are you touching my stuff? She asked. I didn't yell. I didn't throw it. I just held it up and said, Who's Daniel tasting? She froze for half a second. Then she rolled her eyes. Actually rolled her eyes. You're being dramatic. That was the moment I knew, whatever version of our marriage I thought existed, was already gone. I wish I could say she broke down. That she cried. That she admitted it. She didn't. She doubled down. When I read the text out loud, my voice shaking, she crossed her arms and said, You're taking it out of context. Out of context. I asked her what possible context makes. I can still taste you. Innocent. She said, completely straight-faced. We were joking. Joking. I felt like I was arguing with someone who had already decided I was an idiot. I pushed. I asked if she'd slept with him. She didn't answer right away. Instead, she pivoted. Why were you reading my notifications? That's such a violation. There it was again. Somehow I was the criminal. I remember my hands trembling. My heart was pounding so loud I could hear it in my ears. I asked again, yes or no. She sighed dramatically, like I was exhausting her. Fine. I kissed him once. That's it. It was stupid. It meant nothing. My brain tried to grab onto that. Just a kiss. Maybe that was survivable. Then, like the universe wasn't done wrecking me, her phone, still on the counter, buzzed. Another message preview lit up. Miss you already? Same place next Tuesday? Same place. Next Tuesday? That's not one kiss. I looked up at her and I swear I saw it. Calculation. She realized she couldn't minimize this anymore. Her tone changed. Sharper. Defensive. Okay, yes. We've been seeing each other. But it's because you've been distant. Distant. I almost laughed. I'd been the one begging for connection, while she was sneaking around at the gym. She started listing my flaws like she'd had the speech prepared. You're too emotional. You're insecure. You don't challenge me. I feel trapped. Every sentence felt like a blade. And yet somehow she framed it like this was a mutual failure. But here's what stuck with me most. She never once said she was sorry. Not that night. Not the next morning. Not ever. I didn't sleep that night. She did. That's something I'll never forget. I sat on the couch staring at the ceiling until 4 a.m. while she slept in our bed like nothing catastrophic had just detonated in our kitchen. Around 2 a.m. I did something I never thought I would do. I went through her phone. She'd fallen asleep without changing the passcode from earlier when she unlocked it to text him. I don't know if that was arrogance or just carelessness. What I found made my hands go numb. It wasn't just weeks. It was 4 months. Gym nights weren't gym nights. Late meetings were hotel receipts hidden in email archives. There were selfies she never sent me. Messages where she complained about me. Screenshots of our arguments forwarded to him with captions like, "See what I deal with." I felt humiliated in a way I didn't know was possible. There were voice notes too. I didn't listen to all of them. I couldn't. But I heard enough. Laughing. Inside jokes. Plans. And then the part that gutted me. She told him she loved him. 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago, she looked me in the eyes at dinner and told me she was just stressed. And that I was imagining distance. That same week, she told another man she loved him. At 4:17 a.m., I found a message from him that read, "When are you going to tell him?" And her reply, "Soon. I just need to figure out the logistics." Logistics. That's what our marriage had become. Logistics. When she woke up at 7:30, I was still sitting there, phone in my hand. She saw it and didn't look scared. She looked irritated. "What now?" she asked. And in that moment, something inside me snapped, not into rage. Into clarity. When she saw me holding her phone, she didn't panic. She didn't cry. She just sighed like I'd spilled coffee on the rug. "You went through my messages?" she said, flat, almost bored. I didn't yell. I didn't throw the phone. I just looked at her and said, 4 months? That's when her jaw tightened. She didn't deny it. She didn't apologize. She shifted strategy. "You weren't supposed to find out like this." Not "I'm sorry." Not "I hurt you." Just disappointment in the method of discovery. I asked her if she loved him. Long pause. Then, "It's complicated." I laughed. I actually laughed, and it sounded unhinged even to me. "You told him you loved him." She crossed her arms again, that defensive stance I now recognize as her default when she's cornered. "I care about him," she said. "He makes me feel seen." I felt my throat close up. "And what have I been doing for 9 years?" "You've been safe," she replied. Safe. Like I was a couch. Like I was background noise. Then came the twist I wasn't prepared for. She said she wasn't sure she wanted to end things with him. Just like that. Not because she was confused. Not because she needed space. Because she didn't want to. I asked if she wanted a divorce. She shrugged. "I don't know. Maybe we need time. Maybe you should move out for a bit." Move out. From the house we both pay for. Because she got caught cheating. That's when the anger finally hit. Not explosive anger. Not screaming. Cold anger. I told her I wasn't leaving. If anyone was stepping out, it would be her. She looked genuinely shocked that I didn't just fold. And for the first time since this started, I saw uncertainty in her eyes. But even then, still no apology. You'd think getting caught would slow her down. It didn't. If anything, she got bolder. That same afternoon she told me she was going for a drive to clear her head. I asked if that meant seeing him. She snapped, "This is exactly why I can't talk to you. You make everything toxic." Toxic. I felt like I was living in an alternate universe. She left anyway. I checked our shared location. Yeah, we both had it on. Irony is cruel. She turned hers off mid-drive. Just disappeared from the map. When she came back 3 hours later, she acted calm. Almost refreshed. I asked where she went. "Just drove around." I asked if she saw him. Silence. Then, "Why does it matter?" "Why does it matter?" "Because you're my wife. Because you told another man you love him. Because my entire reality imploded 12 hours ago." But instead of saying all that, I just stared at her and realized something terrifying. She wasn't trying to save our marriage. She was trying to manage the fallout. That night she slept in the guest room. Not out of guilt, out of irritation. Like I was the problem that needed distance. At 1 a.m. I heard her phone buzz through the wall. Then the soft sound of her laughing. Laughing. While I lay there staring into the dark, feeling like someone had replaced my life with a bad version of itself. And here's the part that messed with my head the most. A tiny, pathetic part of me still wanted her to choose me. Even after everything. That realization hurt almost as much as the betrayal. I didn't plan it. I didn't wake up thinking, today's the day I confront the other guy like some cliché movie scene. It just happened. 2 days after everything blew up, she told me she was going to stay at a friend's place. Wouldn't say which friend. Wouldn't give details. Just packed a bag like she was going on a weekend trip. I said, "Is this Daniel's place?" She didn't answer. She just zipped the suitcase and said, "I need space from you." Space. From me. After she left, something in me shifted from hurt to investigative mode. I checked the phone records through our shared account. There was an address tied to one of the frequent numbers she'd been calling. 10 minutes from our house. I drove there. I don't know what I expected. Maybe some older, charismatic guy. Some smooth operator. Someone who made it make sense. Instead, I saw her car parked outside a modern apartment building. And through the lobby glass doors, I saw them. Her. Laughing. Touching his arm. He looked normal. Average height. Beard. Gym build. The kind of guy you wouldn't look twice at in a grocery store. She looked lighter with him. Animated. The version of her I hadn't seen in months. My chest physically hurt watching it. I didn't storm in. I didn't cause a scene. But then something happened I wasn't prepared for. She looked up. And saw me. For a split second, her face went pale. Then it hardened. She walked out to the sidewalk, leaving him standing inside looking confused. "What are you doing here?" she hissed. I said, "I needed to see." She looked embarrassed, not guilty. Embarrassed that I showed up. "This is inappropriate," she said. Inappropriate. I looked past her at him through the glass. He was staring at his phone now, pretending not to watch. "Does he know you're still living with me?" I asked. She paused. That pause told me everything. And then, just to twist the knife deeper, she said, "It's not that simple." That's when I realized something else. I wasn't the only one being lied to. After that sidewalk confrontation, I should have gone home. I didn't. I stayed. She kept telling me to leave. Said I was causing a scene, even though I was speaking at normal volume. Her eyes kept darting back to the lobby where he was very obviously pretending not to stare. I asked her one simple question. "Does he know you're still sleeping in my house?" Silence. Then she said, "He knows we're separated." Separated. That was news to me. I felt this strange calm wash over me. Not because it didn't hurt, it did, but because the puzzle pieces were finally locking into place. She had created two parallel realities. In mine, we were working through things. In his, we were already over. I looked at her and said, "So you lied to him too?" Her jaw tightened. "It's complicated." There it was again. I stepped past her and walked into the lobby. She grabbed my arm and whispered, "Don't you dare." Too late. I walked up to him. He looked uncomfortable, like he suddenly regretted every life choice that led to that moment. I said calmly, "Hey. I'm her husband." He blinked. "I thought you guys were divorced," he said immediately. Not aggressive. Not cocky. Just confused. She snapped, "Stop. Both of you." But it was already unraveling. I asked him how long they'd been together. "Since June," he said. June. She told me in July that she needed alone time to find herself. My stomach turned. Then he asked something that made everything go quiet. "Wait, are you still living together?" She didn't answer. He looked at her, then at me, and I watched realization dawn on his face. Not just that she was married, but that she'd been actively playing both sides. And for the first time since this started, she didn't have control of the narrative. If you think she broke down when everything came out at once, you're giving her too much credit. She didn't. She pivoted. Fast. The second Daniel realized she'd lied to him about us being basically divorced, his whole posture changed. He looked hurt. Confused. A little embarrassed. And that's when she snapped? At me first. "You had no right to come here and ambush me like this." Then at him. And you knew I was married. Don't act shocked. It was surreal. She was rewriting the story in real time. Daniel said, You told me you were filing papers. She shot back. I said I was thinking about it. Don't twist my words. I almost laughed. That was her move. Always. Technicalities. Semantics. Bending reality just enough to avoid responsibility. Then came the part that stunned me. She looked at me and said, This is exactly why I didn't want to tell you yet. You're unstable. Unstable. Because I showed up to confirm my wife was actively living a double life. Daniel stepped back at that. You could see it on his face, he was recalculating. And then, out of nowhere, she said something that made the air leave my lungs. Maybe I don't want either of you right now. Like we were options on a menu. Not human beings. Just choices. There was no apology. No accountability. Just irritation that her carefully balanced lie collapsed. Daniel muttered, I need to go, and walked out of the building without looking at either of us. She stood there, breathing hard, like she just survived an attack instead of causing one. I looked at her and finally said it out loud. You don't get to destroy people and then act like the victim. For the first time, she didn't have a comeback ready. But the damage was already done. After that confrontation, I went home. Alone. The apartment felt empty. Hollow. Like the air itself had been drained. I sat on the couch staring at our wedding photos. Photos of us smiling, holding hands, kissing, laughing. And I couldn't reconcile that version of her with the woman who just treated me like I was a nuisance, like I didn't matter at all. I felt every emotion at once, disbelief, rage, shame, grief. My stomach ached. My chest felt tight. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. Every little sound, a car door, a notification, made me jump. I replayed everything in my head. The lies about her late nights. The laughing at my concern. The text messages on her Apple Watch. Seeing her with him, acting lighter, happier, free. The way she gaslit both of us. I was crushed by the betrayal, but almost as much by how casually she treated it. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't a lapse. It was deliberate. At the same time, there was anger. Cold, burning anger. Anger that made my hands shake and my heart pound. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw things. I wanted to run over there and make her feel even a fraction of the chaos she caused. But more than anger, I felt grief. For the life I thought we had. For the trust that evaporated in 4 months. For the illusion of a marriage I thought was real. I cried. I hated crying. But it came anyway. Long, silent, hollow cries that made my pillow wet. I realized that no one could fix this but me. She wouldn't. And at that moment, I also realized, maybe it was too late. The next few days were a blur. I couldn't look at her without my stomach twisting. Every word out of her mouth sounded rehearsed, fake, like a script she'd used 100 times. I tried talking to her. Really talking. I asked her, Do you love me? Do you want to stay married? Why did you do this? Each question was met with the same wall of deflection. I don't know. It's complicated. You're making this worse than it is. I realized something I didn't want to admit. She didn't want us. She wanted control, freedom, options, and the thrill of getting away with something. Not reconciliation. Not even guilt. Just her on her terms. I started seeing a pattern I hadn't allowed myself to see before. All the little gaslighting moments, the sudden errands, the fake stress, the sharp words, they were building blocks. She trained me to doubt myself while she systematically dismantled our marriage. It was heartbreaking to accept, but I had to. I couldn't fix her. I couldn't fix us. Not anymore. And in that quiet, painful clarity, I realized the only thing left to decide was how I would move forward. After days of sleepless nights, crying in the shower, and pacing the apartment like a caged animal, I finally made a choice. I wasn't going to beg. I wasn't going to negotiate trust that no longer existed. I couldn't live in a house where every smile, every word, every small act could be a lie. I told her calmly one evening, "I can't stay here. I can't pretend anymore. You made your choice." She looked shocked. Not guilty, shocked that I had the audacity to finally stand up for myself. "Are you leaving me?" she asked, almost whispering. "Yes. I'm leaving," I said. "I'm filing for divorce. Not because I hate you, I just can't do this anymore. And you don't seem to care about fixing it." She tried her usual moves: gaslighting, manipulation, blame. But this time, I didn't budge. No tears, no apologies, no promises would sway me. For the first time since I discovered the affair, I felt a strange sense of relief. Not happiness, not yet, but clarity. I was taking my life back. My dignity back. My sanity back. It hurt, obviously. It hurt like hell. But it was the right choice. The weeks after telling her I was leaving were brutal. Packing my things felt surreal. Every corner of the apartment reminded me of what we used to be, and what she had turned it into. Friends tried to comfort me, but most of them couldn't grasp how deeply it cut, not just the affair, but the lies, the manipulation, the complete disregard for me as a person. I spent hours alone, replaying memories, crying, screaming into pillows, writing things down I would never show anyone. But slowly, I started to reclaim myself. I blocked her on social media. I stopped checking her texts. I deleted shared calendars and accounts. I started running again, just to feel something other than pain in my chest. I started journaling, trying to understand why I had stayed so long and what I wanted next. I won't lie, some days I still ache. Some nights, I think about how casually she lied and laughed while my world fell apart. But the difference now is that I feel empowered instead of trapped. I'm not her victim anymore. I'm just me again. And weirdly, that's enough for now. Looking back, I've realized a few things I wish I'd known before it all fell apart. 1. Trust is everything, and once it's broken, it's almost impossible to rebuild, especially when the other person doesn't want to. 2. Gaslighting is exhausting and insidious. It makes you doubt yourself until you question your own reality. Don't let anyone convince you that your instincts are wrong. 3. People can surprise you in all the worst ways. Even the person you thought you knew better than anyone can be cruel, selfish, and manipulative. 4. Your own well-being comes first. No amount of love or history justifies staying in a toxic, lying relationship. If there's one thing I want anyone reading this to take away, it's this: don't ignore the red flags. Don't let excuses or charm cover up consistent patterns of disrespect, lying, or betrayal. Protect yourself. I'm still healing. I still have nightmares, moments of disbelief, and pangs of anger. But I'm slowly learning that leaving was the strongest, most self-respecting thing I could do. And I hope that, one day, I'll be able to trust and love again, with someone who chooses honesty over manipulation, and loyalty over thrill. To anyone going through this, you are not weak for leaving. You are strong for reclaiming your life.